Committee Chairman, Missouri Congressman Jason Smith. Welcome to the program, Congressman Smith.
It's great to be with you.
So let's discuss affordability, because this is something that New Yorkers have fallen under a socialist spell, and it's all because of the scarlet letter A word. Tell me what you and your colleagues are talking about in the halls of Congress, and how are you going to bring prices down?
Bringing prices down and affordability is something that myself, the president, and my colleagues have been talking about for way more than a year, and we've been working towards that. One of the big steps that we've already done was on July 4th, we signed the big, beautiful bill, the Working Families Tax Cuts. We prevented the largest tax increase in American history from taking effect at the end of this year. And not only did we prevent the largest tax increase, we provided additional tax relief so that you look at first and second quarter of next year, people will receive the largest tax refunds that they've ever received. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax relief for seniors. It's going to have a huge impact. And this is what they need. This is what they need after they faced inflation that rose 21% under Joe Biden.
Congressman, good to see you. President Trump and Edward Lawrence just played a piece of sound from the president earlier today that the Trump administration, will be issuing dividend checks later in the year. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said yesterday that it will require legislation to hand out those tariff dividend checks. One, is it doable from your perspective? But isn't it also potentially inflationary when you convert tariff revenue into something that's spendable here in the United States?
There's no question that Congress is looking at every tool in the toolbox to address the affordability crisis. This is something that Congress is debating and discussing. Would these checks be inflationary? It's definitely something that you have to look at, because it would have an impact whenever you put that additional amount of money in there. And so we need to be very smart and careful in making these decisions.
All right, so let's talk about health care, because for a lot of Americans, health care is one of the least affordable things in their lives. One of the reasons the government was shut down, the main driver for Democrats, was extending those COVID-era ACA subsidies. We understand that the president is weighing short-term ACA relief. How is that resonating with your caucus?
Well, I'll tell you right now, it's ridiculous to think that the Democrats shut down government for 7% of the population. They're only talking about lowering premiums for 7%, the 24 million people that's on Obamacare. There's 347 million Americans that care about high healthcare costs. We need to look at every aspect in lowering health care for all Americans, lowering premiums for all Americans, not just those that's on the Affordable Care Act.
Congressman, how would it work, though? So this is what Mehmet Oz, the head of Medicare and Medicaid Services, the administrator, there are discussions around extending the subsidies. It's about $40 billion a year. If we deal with the fraud, waste, and abuse that right now is paralyzing the system, the big question is, how do we insure people but make it sustainable? Is it a mistake to extend it? Again, I don't want to sound callous or flip, but just the Band-Aid needs to come off. This was meant to expire. There's supersized subsidies that go to families that earn $600,000 a year. That's absurd.
First off, I think that people just need to realize that if these expire at the end of the year, it reverts back to what was passed in Obamacare in 2010. So it's exactly what the Democrats have praised as the best thing of healthcare, and that's what it would revert back to. What they're fighting for are additional subsidies to insurance companies, not to individuals, insurance companies that were created during COVID, and they themselves made them temporary. They are the ones who put the expiration date for this year. the fact they want to spend $40 billion for these subsidies, which helps people who are 400% above the poverty level, that means people making $600,000 a year, that doesn't fly very well with my colleagues here.
Well, how do you means test it? And isn't it true that you have Democrat support, at least on the Senate side, to do just that?
There's multiple things that you have to look at, but with this just reverting back to the current subsidies, people will still get very, very generous subsidies. In fact, 60% of the folks that would be on the exchanges, they would pay less than $7 a week.
Congressman, as we move on, so SNAP benefits have been restored, but describe what is being done to root out the waste, fraud, and abuse in the SNAP benefits. Will all the recipients be required to reapply for these benefits in order to receive them?
You know, I sure hope so, because we have to root out waste, fraud, and abuse in all areas of government. I am glad Secretary Rollins has been very vocal about having people reapply and making sure that they qualify. The people that need food stamps, they probably should have more food stamps and take it away from those who should not be on the program that's abusing the program.
All right, so Brooke Rollins has talked about a new system that's in place to make sure that people have to verify their income and the fact that they're still breathing and not below ground. Why can't you do the same thing with the ACA?
You know, we actually made some very good, significant changes to the ACA and the Big Beautiful Bill, and the Congressional Budget Office came back with our yearly eligibility requirements that was put in there, that was passed. It is projected by the Congressional Budget Office to lower premiums for all Americans. That's a big step. We also prevented illegal immigrants from receiving health care within the ACA. Those were provisions within the Big Beautiful Bill.
And also in the Big Beautiful Bill took away that scheme that states were using to, it was a money laundering scheme in essence to keep, as you were pointing out, provide Medicaid for illegal migrants in their states and essentially funnel money off of the federal government to pay for it. Chairman Jason Smith, great to see you, sir. Thank you so much.